The iPhone 14 still has a huge issue, and it's something that Apple can't even fix. Let's get into it. So late last year when the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro came out, they had their fair share of issues and bugs, and it really seemed like Apple almost took a step back from the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro, especially with battery life. The iPhone 14 had huge battery life issues, and just tons of software quirks and bugs that people had issues with. However, nowadays, a couple months after it's been released, they've essentially worked out all these bugs, and the iPhone 14 is still the best iPhone Apple has ever made. The iPhone 14 has tons of improvements over the 13 after all these bugs were worked out and everything like that. It's a fantastic phone. I absolutely love my iPhone 14 Pro, except for one big issue that I haven't seen that many people talk about. I know I've heard a few tech reviewers mention it during their reviews, but I personally feel like this is a way bigger issue than what most people are talking about. And it legitimately affects me, I would say, on almost a daily or maybe every other day basis. However, this might be because I use a camera more often than most people probably do. But the issue I'm talking about is with the primary camera, the 48 megapixel camera on the iPhone 14. Now I have the 14 Pro and I haven't tested this issue with other iPhone 14s, but I'm guessing this is an issue that they all have since they all have the same lens and sensor for their primary camera. And so I notice almost every time I try to take a close-up picture of something that the primary camera will not focus, not even somewhat close up, but anywhere that you would normally be able to. Like with my iPhone 12, I never had this issue, just a normal, somewhat close-up distance, trying to take a picture of a label on something, or the nutrition facts on the back of a box or something like that. Every time I try to take pictures somewhat close up with the primary camera, the iPhone will not get focused. The close focus distance on this lens is absolutely terrible. Now, Apple tried to kind of cover this up by automatically switching to the macro lens, which is the ultra wide lens. As soon as you get to a certain distance and you kind of see, you can know when it switches over. It'll kind of just be a little weird to all of a sudden be a little bit of a different angle. You probably know what I'm talking about. You can tell when it switches over, and in a lot of situations it's not that big of a deal, but you can clearly, right when it switches over, you can clearly see the difference in quality from that main sensor, that really high quality 48 megapixel sensor and lens, switching over to the ultra wide, which is low resolution. It has a lower quality lens that has to be super wide and kind of can't be as fast or as sharp as the standard lens can be. I mean, you can just instantly see when that happens because it has so much more noise, it's less sharp, and it's just a way lower quality image and video every single time. Now, one of the main things, normally it's just annoying, it's just a little bit of an issue, but there's one thing that I've actually had a big issue with. I literally couldn't even continue on with my iPhone 14. And this is something, a brand new $1,000 phone. It just shouldn't do this. I don't know if I'm just ranting. This whole video might just be a rant that only I have this issue with. Let me know in the comments, of course, if you've had an issue with this focusing thing with the primary versus ultra wide camera. But the main thing that legitimately has impacted me is trying to scan documents, or cash a check by scanning it, or scan my ID for something. Anything like that, I always have issues with, and there has been at least 1 to 2 times where I legitimately could not do it. Because on the app, sometimes it's on app, sometimes it's separate, whatever it is. The one I was using it for, I had to scan my ID, which is kind of a small document, and you had to line it up with this rectangle frame. You probably know what I'm talking about if you ever scanned a document online or through your phone or something like that. I had to get close enough to fill my ID with that box for the box to turn green, and then it would automatically, scan it and take a picture. But you can't choose the ultra wide or the telephoto or choose between cameras. It just uses the standard camera like it should. You shouldn't have to choose between which camera and think about it. You should just bring it up, scan your ID or your check or whatever you're scanning, and it'll be done with. But in order to get close enough to light up the green square, I would have to get a lot closer to where the primary camera wouldn't focus, and it would be completely out of focus, and it wouldn't be able to read the ID because it's completely out of focus because I had to get close enough. But I couldn't zoom in. I couldn't even pinch to zoom or anything like that. It wouldn't let me do that. I couldn't use a different camera. And with this one specifically, with most of them, I can just upload a photo so I can crop it. With this one, I couldn't upload a photo. I had to just scan it. I don't even remember what I ended up doing, but I legitimately could not scan it with my iPhone 14 Pro. A $1,000 phone that is a couple months old, I couldn't even just scan a document with. Again, I don't know if this is just me ranting on more than I should, or if this is a bigger issue. I know some people have talked about it, like I said, but I feel like it just hasn't been talked about as much as it should. And this is something that Apple should have either taken care of with their camera design or just a little bit better with the software. Now, of course, I can almost guarantee with the iPhone 15, they're gonna fix this. I mean, the iPhone 14 was the first time they bumped the resolution in the primary camera in literally years. I think since the iPhone 6S or something like that. This is the first time Apple's bumped the resolution, and so they probably had to redesign all the lenses and the whole camera module. So I'm guessing they just need to work their quirks out. The iPhone 15, I can almost guarantee they're gonna fix that issue with the focus distance on the primary camera. But with the iPhone 14, it's just one of those not very widely mentioned issues that's really annoying and has legitimately affected me almost every single day that I use my phone. But either way, definitely let me know in the comments if this is an issue you've had with your iPhone 14. Again, I hope and I almost guarantee they're gonna fix it in the iPhone 15, but it's just something that you should be aware of with this phone. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to drop a like as well as subscribe to my channel and maybe leave a nice comment. It'll really help push this video to new audiences and help out my channel, so I'd really appreciate it if you got any value from this video. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.